Welcome to Unity Church of Chatsworth online ministry.
Love lifted me. Love lifted me. When nothing else would help, love lifted me. Love lifted me. Love lifted me. When nothing else would help, love lifted me. Our mission at Unity Church of Chatsworth is to help each other and all who come to us awaken to the creative power of the indwelling and eternal presence of God in ways that will bring amazing new good into our lives and into the world.
Good morning and welcome to Unity Church of Chatsworth's online service.
There is only one presence and one power active in me and throughout the universe. God the good, omnipotent.
The Unity Daily Word we focus on today comes to us from Wednesday, July 14th, 2020. And the word is focus. Our affirmation: I keep my thoughts focused on God. Great peace and joy fill me when I bow my head in prayer or raise my voice in song. My mind filled with thoughts of God and my heart overflowing with love. I wish to carry these blissful feelings with me wherever I go. My spiritual connection guides me in all my travels and interactions. It keeps me calm and kind, balanced and unflappable. I center myself in peace and a feeling of deep well-being which keeps me from feeling swayed by life's transient rhythms. I meet all circumstances with calm and poise, rising above annoyances and discord. I receive others with kindness and compassion, no matter how they treat me. I respond thoughtfully and act gently, drawing my patience and perspective from my focus on God, my source of love and light. Our scripture with this daily word comes to us from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13. When you search for me, you will find me, if you seek me with all your heart. Our word for today is focus, and our affirmation: I keep my thoughts focused on God. And so it is. Amen.
I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to thy perfect law.
From the Revealing Word by Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity. The metaphysical meaning of way. The way. The I am in humankind. The open door to the kingdom of God.
Recovery, Inc., often referred to simply as Recovery, was officially formed in November 7th, 1937 by neuropsychiatrist Abraham Lowe in Chicago, Illinois. Lowe created the organization to facilitate peer support self-help groups for former patients, with a desire to improve their overall mental health.
From the 12 Powers by Charles and Cora Fillmore. Book 2, Chapter 2, page 222. Be perfectly relaxed and receptive to spirit, and know that you are conscious of the spiritual power descending from the spiritual center, the crown of the head, showering you with new faith. Do the spiritual work quietly, remaining perfectly poised and relaxed. The Lord will take care of the results. Now, with you working with it, allow the presence to drop slowly down to the love center just back of the heart, and declare, faith works through love.
From the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16. You are the ones who justify yourselves before other people, but God knows your hearts. Love lifted me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Reverend John. God bless you.
God bless you, and God bless you. And you and you. Yes. We have a new season, Michelle.
Yes, we do. And today we are continuing that new season of practicing the presence of God.
We have a new affirmation. And our affirmation, we're actually going to read from our new outline. It says,
just for today, I let go and let prayer lead the way.
Yes. And we have a fancy word today, Michelle, or some fancy words together. And that is, we're learning it's called cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
That's the long version of we're doing something new. We're doing something different.
We're taking a different look at how to approach challenges and stressors in our life.
And again, our theme, it's all about faith. So we have a month of reflecting on it's a matter of faith.
Yes.
And it's a matter of looking to our higher place in terms of how we conduct our lives, Michelle.
Right. And we talked about this morning as we were discussing it, making our higher conscious choice.
And connection.
Yes.
So we're going to ask the question, where were you? What memories do you have? And in fact, we're talking about a song. Now, we started out with a song today. And again, it was a song from my youth, Michelle. I'm not sure if you sang that in the Catholic Church.
No, I don't remember singing it, but
but I recall that song, and I remember my sisters harmonizing and being in our choir, and we sang that song, and I remembered it, and I still remember it. Love lifted me, and many of you may be familiar with that. But it does make me, for example, Michelle, right in the middle of an upset, I'm going to call it, calm down. And it causes me to think about what's going on here, and maybe, life can have another choice or even a better choice. Certainly a higher choice.
yes.
And so we have 3 points today. And again, I want to talk about, Michelle, what are the things that cause stress or stressors out there today?
And in this day and age, we've talked about this before, and of course we're all talking about this right now with the pandemic
and the COVID experience,
and with some political upheaval. There are things going on,
social upheaval,
no matter where you sit with your beliefs and your values. There is a lot of things that are challenging us and causing us stress on a daily basis. So we're just going to do a little bit of memory work for us for this week and talk about a spiritual way of maybe approaching those stressors.
And I'm going to talk about my stressor this week, Michelle, and I think you're going to talk about your stressor this week. But we're going to move forward with the following 3 points in our outline. Point number 1 was...
what happened? What caused the upset?
What caused the upset? Yes, thank you. Point number 2.
To stop and remove yourself and breathe.
And breathe.
Breathe, yes.
And we talk about our 3 breaths, by the way.
Yes.
But point number 2, stop right in the middle of what's going on and breathe. Point number 3.
Take time to pray.
Take a prayer break.
Yes.
Take time to pray. Yes, that was point number 3. So we take a deep breath in right now, for example. We take a deep breath. And we breathe, and now we move forward. Point number 1 in terms of what happened. What happened for me this week that caused stress or upset. And I know that this week I was looking forward to a doctor's appointment, Michelle.
Looking forward to a doctor's appointment.
Well, I know that does sound like it's a little bit backwards there.
But why were you looking forward to that doctor's appointment?
Well, I have a new doctor, or at least I thought I did. And I actually was looking forward to meeting with her and talking with her about my general health situation and about certain things that we had been talking about.
And you had, I'm just going to add to it,
I
you
had an
had seen
appointment.
her once before
Yes.
and found her to be a very pleasant person to work with.
Right.
Yes.
And this, again, was my 6-month checkup or recheck. And so I enthusiastically, Michelle, drove over to the appointment, and I calmly walked up to the patient desk that I signed in, and I found that she no longer worked for the facility or for the agency, for the hospital. And so
And what were you feeling?
I felt an immediate sense of upset
Okay.
or stress. It was causing some stress, and I filled out the required paperwork, and I sat down, and I could tell, in terms of feeling my pulse, my emotional pulse, that I was unhappy
Yes.
and about the situation.
I'm guessing you were disappointed.
Oh, yes. I felt disappointed. Yes. And it's important, by the way, I hear over and over again to identify those feelings and not, for example, be to lie to myself and say I was happy about it when in fact that wasn't really what was going on there, that I was unhappy about the situation. And I, by the way, Michelle, in terms of that stressor, I did stop in the middle of the waiting room, and I decided to calm down.
Okay. So with point number 1, we know that there was a situation that you were disappointed with, unhappy with, and so that caused you some upset.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did. And then I will just say afterwards, I was asked to continue on to the pharmacy and to fulfill a prescription. And I found myself needing to stop, turn the motor off, because I still was carrying that upset with me as I went from the office to the pharmacy.
So now we're into point number 2. You decided that this was a time for you to stop.
Well, I did not want to remain in the upset.
Yes.
First of all,
And
I
think I just want to add to that is that you didn't want to move into your next experience carrying that with you. Is that
I
fair?
did not
Okay.
want to, for example, I didn't want to take an anger to an anger.
Okay.
Or actually cause myself to yell at the pharmacy, for example, because they hadn't changed.
Right.
But in fact, again, and I will say this, and I'm not sure this is point 1 or point 2, but it's okay during this time, and we hear that on the news, that people change jobs.
Yes.
Or that people leave jobs, or certainly that people that they make other choices.
There's a great deal of movement going on in a lot of different ways.
And that could be from someone who works in the service industry, or people who are, I'm going to say, a professional.
Yes.
Professional
Yes.
people who are there to bless us with their professional services as well. So I bless you on your way, Sydney. And so we say, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. Again, returning to point number 2, Michelle, I wanted to send my blessings to my doctor. But point number 2, and this is a true kind of, I'm going to call it a cognitive change.
Yes.
That I'm aware of. For example, again, I mentioned, I decided to breathe and stop in the middle of the upset. And again, that's the method. That's the scientific terms, for example. And breathe.
And I just want to mention that both of these steps that we're going through, identifying what happened that caused the upset.
Removed myself from the situation.
Yeah,
the
identifying
upset.
it and knowing what it was that upset you, first of all, because we will feel our upset. We will feel our upset. And nothing wrong with that. That's what's going on in our lives. We'll feel challenged at the moment. But to take that time to take a breath and to stop and say, and just kind of work through it and breathe before you move on to the next thing. And that is hard in our society. We are geared within our society
go,
to keep
do,
going.
do,
Yes.
take action. And so we're actually looking at it from a different place.
Yes.
And I'm going to stop at my point 2 and ask you, what was your upset? So we'll finish point 3 together.
Okay.
So point number 1 for Michelle.
Well, what happened for me this week is grocery shopping. I enjoy picking out my groceries.
All of us do.
And making my list, being organized about it. And what we've made a choice to do during this period of time is, and to have our groceries not delivered, but we pick them up. We go out, we pick them up.
We order them over the phone.
We order them over the internet, actually.
Over the internet, okay.
And then go to the store and have them loaded in. And it's a nice social experience. You know, we meet the young people who are working at the store and have an opportunity to talk with them. But this week, because of staffing challenges, there were a lot of barriers to us getting our groceries this week. And that caused some upset for me because I had to keep re-evaluating my schedule and changing the times for things that we had. And so, first of all, they changed the time. They changed the time. And I was okay with that until 2 people from the same organization called me and changed it to different times. And then I was starting to get a little upset. And then they changed it for me to pick it up at 7 o'clock at night, and I don't drive after dark. I'm not comfortable driving after dark. I choose not to.
So these changes from 2 o'clock to 3:30 to 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. at night caused the upset.
Caused me some upset
That's
and some
what
challenge.
happened.
And I was feeling irritated.
All
I was
right.
feeling irritated. So
Then point 2 for you?
Point 2 for me was to stop and breathe and step away from the situation for a moment. Now, I was at home. I hadn't gone anywhere, but my need was to sit down, sit with myself quietly, breathe quietly, and say, what choices do I want to make? What do I want to do? How do I want to go forward? So that was important for me to sit down and do that before I called anyone back and spewed my anger or irritation on them for a situation that was, not out of their control. So I needed to sit and breathe and let that sit with me for a while.
All right.
Okay.
Now, point 3, we'll take point 3 together.
Okay.
And point 3 is take time to pray.
Yes.
And I have take a prayer break.
Yes.
So take a prayer break. And again, we're saying take a prayer break, and we're talking about prayer, and however, we're remembering to, it's important to rely on our higher power, or God. Many of us say, God help me, for example. I've heard myself say, God help me in this situation. And so when you do that, or when I do that, then sometimes that insight comes in Michelle, in terms of what can I do. But I'm doing that in that order. I'm not doing or rushing. For example, I thought that I could hop in the car and drive, and I felt a little disoriented, actually. And so I felt it was probably wise not to start the car and start driving right away. And so I, in the middle of the upset, this is again point number 3, decided to rest, breathe, refocus, for example, and then take the next step.
Yes. Well, I found myself, as we go into point number 3, take time to prayer. You might think that, a grocery upset isn't a lot to pray about, but whenever we feel ourselves in a place of upset, it's something to pray about. It's time to connect with that higher consciousness that leads us to do things that are kind and considerate and thoughtful of not only ourselves, but of other people that we're coming into contact with.
Okay.
So my thought was to sit, to breathe, take a breath, and to allow myself to just meditate for a moment on what would make me feel comfortable, and to call on my higher self to help me with that decision. What would make me feel more comfortable?
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that, Michelle, because I did notice the receptionist in the doctor's office, for example, she was looking at my eyes because I had my mask on, first of all. She looked at my mask to see if I was upset, or if I was going to yell at her or anyone else in the office staff because I had a disappointment.
Yes.
And because I was feeling upset. Was I going to just start, saying some things and yelling or screaming or carrying on because my doctor wasn't there anymore.
So we take time to focus on a breath, take a moment. We take time to say, what is it that would be my higher self moving into this situation? How do I want to approach each other person within this situation so that I don't escalate feelings of
And again,
discomfort?
it is a matter of faith.
Yes.
We say it's a spiritual practice, but we are still living in this human, and we have these human experiences that we are sharing with one another.
Yes.
And we want to be a blessing to those around us. We don't want to be a hindrance to those around us. And I
Yes.
noticed in the daily word today, 2 words. We don't want to be involved in discord or annoyance, certainly to the degree that we're causing a problem. We're not
Right.
causing a blessing
Yes.
to occur.
We're not escalating a situation that might be uncomfortable.
And so we smile as we think about summarizing for today. Summarizing for today, again, our affirmation was, and we're going to read it to make sure that we're reading correctly or affirming correctly. Just for today, I let go
and
and I let prayer lead the way. Our 3 points for today were as follows.
What happens? What happens to us? What causes us stress? What causes a challenge
Or
for us?
upset.
Or upset, disappointment, irritation. Identify the situation and what is causing it. And second,
Point number 2.
yes, our point number 2 is to take a moment
Stop.
and just remove yourself from the situation, step back from it, maybe take another look at it,
Take a breath.
take a breath,
Maybe 2.
allow yourself some space.
Maybe 3.
And then,
All right.
and then number 3, added to that breath, a moment of prayer, a moment of calling on our higher consciousness to see what would be the next best step.
Take time to pray, or
Yes.
take a prayer break.
Yes.
And so we are here today, and as we completed our summary, to do that. In fact, we're going to take a prayer break right now, and we're going to say, thank you, God.
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 And so it is. Amen. Just for today, I let go and I let prayer lead the way. And yes, we stop right in the middle of the upset. Whatever is causing stress today, we stop and we remove ourselves from the event, from the happening, and we remember to let prayer lead the way. And yes, we pray for our dear ones. We pray for our family members. And right here and right now, we remember to pray for ourselves as we come to know that God knows what is best in this and every situation. And we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And yes, just for today, we let go and we let prayer lead the way. And we say, and so it is. Amen.
The prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen.
Our offertory blessing today, together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Amen.
The Daily Word is reproduced with permission of Unity, publisher of the Daily Word. Website, dailyword.com.